shake, shake, no day, our voice will resound. Ambazonia's people will never back down. The chains are broken, the pain is gone. Freedom is ours, and a new day has dawned. Shake, shake, no day, no day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Ambazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. From the rivers to the peaks, our strength will grow. The dreams of our forebears in us brightly glow. Our heroes, heroines, their fire still burns. We honor their fight with the justice we've earned. Shake, shake, I'll win. No day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Ambazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. We are building today for the children to come. No more tears, no more sorrow for anyone. Our flag will rise high, its colors display. Ambazonia's bright future starts today. Shake, shake, over. No day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Ambazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. We'll shake off the fear and cast out the doubt. Our spirits will rise, there's no turning out. Freedom is our anthem, justice our creed. Shake, shake, no day, with love we will lead. Shake, shake, like that, no day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Ambazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. Shake, shake, no day. The future is bright. Ambazonia will shine like a beacon of light. With every heartbeat, our message will be sent. Shake, shake, no day, until the very end. A cruise boy to sing.
Fellow Ambazonians, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across the globe. This is the Logistic Chief of the ADF, Pascal Kiki. Yeah, I first of all want to apologize to Ambazonians that we were supposed to have this live yesterday, but due to other constraints, we couldn't make it on time. But we stated that our mission to free Ambazonia is, a done deal. We live to fight for our people. And I just want to tell Ambazonians that what matters most as a real man and as a real woman is the legacy that you leave on earth. It's not how much wealthy you are, but how you change the course of humanity and how you improve on the future generations. There is a saying in life that any society that doesn't think about the future generation is a dead society. That's why we fight for the heart and soul of Ambazonia. We want the future generations to see our footprints, to know that we were here. We fought on the mountain of freedom and died for them. Then they will learn to understand that there were people who made a better life for them. Today is going to be we want to get a deep analysis of the revolution, and we'll really zero down a little bit on the current indisputable leader of the Ambazonian revolution. We'll zero down on some specifics. In our previous outing that I had with the spokesperson of the AGOC and the undisputed spokesperson of this Ambazonian War of Liberation for this period, we were supposed to go deep into one specific topic on the man, Dr. Ayaba Cho. Who is he? And how he changed the course of Ambazonian people. I asked the spokesperson, we're trying to go deep into who that person is. And I think he pushed back and he told me that no, that is a whole show on its own, because our people need to know the truth. We need to know, we don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we had people like Patrice Lumumba, the Thomas Sankaras, where they had people who could stand up and fight with them to change the course of their nation. They let them down. We don't want to be like those who stood by Malcolm X to fight for the cause of the black people in America. It's only after he passed on that they started talking about him and what he did. We stand in real time to fight shoulder to shoulder with the undisputed leader that's going to see us through in this our liberation struggle. Today I'll be joined by the spokesperson of the AGOC for us to have this deep analysis of the person, Dr. Ayaba Cho. Mr. Spokesperson of the Ambazonian Governing Council, you are welcome to the show. And I know it's just seeing you and your smile and the person that you are, it makes me believe that once more we're going to have a very, very insightful show this afternoon. You are welcome to the show.
By the way, thank you very much for the previous program we had. It was quite rich. The content was powerful. We had great exchanges and provided a lot of critical insights to who we are as a people, what we are fighting for. But we also helped our people to understand the games, the tactics, the manipulative and deceptive tactics of the enemy. If you don't understand who the enemy is, how the enemy acts, their strategies, their manipulation, their deception, you won't be able to fight them, you won't be able to win them, you won't be able to defeat them. Once you understand the enemy, then you will know what strategies to put in place, how to fight them, how to defeat them, how to even dismantle, how to disrupt, right? So I really want to appreciate you for the great questions that you ask and the answers that came upon me. Sometimes I'm not the one. Sometimes I'm not the one speaking. There is a deeper force and a higher force that speaks through me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm just someone who information is channeled through. by the powers of Ambazonia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the spokesperson of the Egg of Sea. Let's just go deep into we want to go deep into our discussion.
Whatever is on your agenda, you the host.
Okay.
You the host, man.
Yeah. So one of the I know that the last time that we had a show, I was like, people are like, who is Doctor? Who is the spokesperson of the Egg of Sea? Lucas Asu. I believe that the previous outing gave them an insight of who you are, why you fight, and the driving force behind your their test and their quest for liberation of Ambazonia. So
is that a question? Is that a question?
No, it's an affirmation of what it's an affirmation of your person and some sort of letting our people, at times when you come out and you talk and people don't really they want to know more a little bit about you. So that's why we took part of that last show to talk about who you are, and our people now have an idea or know who exactly Lucas Asu is. So
bro, look, I don't have anything to impress anyone. The only thing the only thing I have to impress upon our people, it's the sacrifices our children are making.
Yeah.
It's the sacrifices our mothers are making.
Yeah.
The sacrifices young boys and young girls are making.
Mm-hmm.
It's the resilience of our people on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the will to live to see another day. It's the will to live to have a future. That's what I have to impress upon our people. Personally, I'm just a soul who's here to make a meaningful contribution, to add to the contribution and the sacrifices that 8 million and plus Ambazonians are making to get a free homeland. What we do here is compared to nothing. What we do here, what you and I do, is not even 1% of what our people on the ground are doing.
We are just their voice. We're just their voice.
Thank you for your compliment.
Yeah, we are just their voice and like I said, the war of liberation, not only liberation war, any war, one of the key components of any war, of warfare is, messaging, information. So the role that we play, you and I, is fighting at that front to give clarity, to also ensure that our people have the right message. Because personally, before coming on this show today, I have an uncle. He has about about a lot of accolades. He has about 3 or 4 PhD degrees. But there are certain information that seeps through the Ambazonian revolution that, they ask some questions and you are like, oh, I thought our people have the capability to decipher certain things, but and I realized that we still have that duty and that obligation to clarify certain things, just like you said previously, that in the previous show that you and I had, that at times people might have some accolades, but doctorates and the rest, but really having that mindset to pierce through and peel out the onion layers to understand exactly what is happening. You have realized in this revolution that there are people we still need to do that, because it's not people's accolades that gives them a deeper context and a deeper understanding of what is happening in this revolution. That's why you and I and other people come to play to redirect our people's mind and refocus them and let them know the truth. Okay, just picking up from where we started last week, in our last show.
Yeah.
What actually is, when you look at the Ambazonian revolution in its totality, you look at a leader like Ayuk Tabe Seseko. When he called on Ambazonians on the 22nd of September 2017 to come out and peacefully show the world that we are done with this union and we need to check out of it peacefully. I call that the referendum for our independence. When he called our people out to come out and peacefully show the world that we are done with this union and we are checking out. What does that mean when you look at 2017, September 2017, that day? What does that mean? What does that tell you? Specifically, what goes through your mind building up the case for Ambazonian liberation and his call for our people to come out from north to south, east to west of Ambazonia and tell the world where we stand and what we want? The quest for independence. What can you say about that?
In the lives of every people and in the context of Ambazonia, there are specific leaders that have played a pivotal role to shape who we are and who we are going to be tomorrow, to shape the direction, the trajectory, and the destiny of Ambazonia. And Seseko Ayuk Tabe, Julius, is one of those persons. Just like Fongoji Dinka conceived and gave the Ambazonian people the name Ambazonia, challenged Cameroon in Yaoundé in the Bamenda High Court, won that court case to proclaim Ambazonia, challenged Cameroon in the Nigerian Federal Court to proclaim Ambazonia. That was very significant in laying the path for where we are today. We would not have been here if it wasn't for what Ayuk Tabe Julius did. We would not have been here. We would have been in a different place. That singular move, that declaration, that call galvanized, mobilized every community on the ground, gave them a sense of duty, a sense of direction, a purpose, a mission to fulfill. Stand up, project yourself, proclaim yourself, and show your readiness for self-determination. That is symbolic. That was a defining moment for Ambazonia, September 22nd. It was a defining moment that set the pace of this liberation struggle. It should not be undermined. It should not be underlooked. It's very significant. It's a very powerful and life-changing contribution he made. Secondly, 1 week later, the courage, the stamina to stand in front of the international community in the 21st century and declare restoration of independence. The audacity of that action should be celebrated. That's the moment Ambazonians came together as a people to begin the journey to reclaim Ambazonia. Others did it in the past. It was not as symbolic, and it was not as monumental. But from the foundation of which they laid, and the work that was done in 2016 by lawyers and teachers, the work that was done by the consortium, the work that was done by SCACUF, elevated the struggle to that moment where we could define Ambazonia and redeclare the restoration of independence for the people, to begin the journey for the struggle to reclaim Ambazonia. It should be celebrated by every Ambazonian. Today, it's in jail. Why? Why is he in jail? He's a very peaceful man. He believes in peaceful advocacy. Why is he in jail? He's in jail because he challenged Cameroon. He's in jail today because he dared to challenge Cameroon's legitimacy of Ambazonia. He's in jail today because he said the end has come. Ambazonia must project itself in the international stage. Cameroon no longer speaks to Ambazonia. From that day henceforth, Ambazonia speaks for itself, and Ambazonia has leaders. That was a decisive moment for the Ambazonian people. Ayuk Tabe delivered a consequential blow to Cameroon's claim of Ambazonia, because now there is a new voice that speaks for Ambazonia, not Cameroon anymore. Cameroon is done.
Yep.
That's it. That public declaration sends Cameroon into a panic mode. And what did they do? It started a process for Cameroon to begin to assemble their intelligence services to launch the process of decapitation. Cameroon's primary goal from 2016 is to make sure the liberation is leaderless. To make sure the liberation is leaderless. Without a leader, no people can succeed. Without a compelling leader that can mobilize, rally the people, and gain international trust, no people can succeed. The world does not deal with individuals. So Cameroon doesn't want Ambazonia to have leaders that the world can trust, look up to speak for Ambazonia, to negotiate for Ambazonia. That's why from 2016, when Bala and Fontaine were building momentum through the consortium, they had to put them in jail. It's a strategy of decapitation. So every time someone rises to speak for Ambazonia, their goal is to take him out, to make the liberation consistently leaderless. Ayuk Tabe, September 22nd and October 1. What happened? December 5th, 2017. They picked him up in Nigeria with 10 others, just 3 months later. Do you think it was an accident? Ambazonians are joking because they don't have people that can educate them on this stuff. Ambazonians are joking because they don't understand what this is all about. This is not peculiar to Ambazonia. Watch what the war between Israel and Hezbollah. You think they're going to negotiate with you with a charismatic leader? You're going to get everything you want with a charismatic leader. The goal of the enemy is to make sure you don't have a trusted, charismatic leader so that they can negotiate with you at your weakest point. 2016, 2017, boom. The consortium took the leaders, put them in jail. So by the time Ayuk Tabe came to the limelight, it took time. What happened to the liberation during that period? They tried to render leaderless. I mean, the revolution at that point, render leaderless. So by the time there is this adjustment, Seseko rose to that point, became very effective in terms of public mobilization. A very soft-spoken man. And people were attracted to his peaceful nature and what he told them and what he promised. So it's very consequential. It's very consequential, and he should be celebrated and be respected for his contribution. Till today, he's still in jail paying the price. Cameroon has given him life imprisonment. But Ayuk Tabe, I can guarantee all Ambazonians, he will not spend his life in jail. He's going to be released through the negotiated settlement process, just like every other Ambazonian. Okay. But let me also warn Ambazonians. Let me also warn Ambazonians. Cameroon can also release Ayuk Tabe Julius for political gains for Cameroon.
Yep.
Because being a political prisoner with that kind of leadership, he commands an enormous amount of power. All right? It commands enormous amount of power. So Cameroon can also pull a fast one on the Ambazonian people, release Ayuk Tabe Julius, and then tear the whole thing apart. I'm just pointing this out so that you all should know. But in case it happens, Ambazonians should understand. I told you so. It will be a game. It will not be for Ambazonia. It will be to push certain new moves that will change the course of this liberation struggle. I just want to point that out to all of you.
No, you're right. You make a very key point, because I picked up two things from your what you just said recently. Nobody has ever galvanized Ambazonians, north, south, east, west, coordinated, organized. We did using maybe 1 hour dialogue or monologue to direct Ambazonians the way Seseko did. Nobody. That's why he was a threat. That's a very powerful point, and we need to always, put a, how we call it, a point, a flag. Those are defining moments in Ambazonia. And then secondly,
Ambazonians have a very divisive tendencies.
Mhm.
Right? Ambazonians have a very divisive tendencies. Sometimes because they have been divided into these groupings. Okay, they forget what has brought them to where they are and the role that people played. They forget. I don't want Amazonians to forget the role that he played. And secondly, Ayuk Tabe has not, unfortunately, has not had people within his own organization, okay, that are effective communicators to be able to sell this man's contribution to the Ambazonian people and keep that legacy at the forefront of limelight. I like to point this out. So I did an outing in 2018, 2019 that I did a full about an hour of analysis on Ayuk Tabe's contribution. It's out there.
Yeah, you make a very good point, because what the enemy does, there is a particular saying within the AGOVC structures: don't blink. People think we just make those statements because they have been nice. No. The enemy's objective is to distract you from your intended objective, your intended goal. That is what they do. They will do everything to distract you. And once you sway away from what you really actually want for your people, then you are done. You will fall for anything. That is why, first of all, when they decapitated Ayuk Tabe, because he had that power and he was uncompromising as far as our independence was concerned, you know, and then
Not he
now
was. Not he was.
he
He is still
is
not
is
compromising, please.
you're right, you're right. He is, he was, he is, and I think he will always be uncompromising on what he wants for his people. Now, when you look at, as you rightfully said, there's a point you made also, he never had that cohesiveness to hold him in place. Maybe probably because of the naivety that existed in the movement then, that people were not keen enough or sharp enough to be able to pick out some of the, I can call it, loopholes or punctures that the enemy had already been putting around him, you know. Because if he had some, well, we've grown into this revolution. We've grown, let me be very honest, we've grown into this revolution because there are certain things now that when you bring it within the structure of the AGOV-C, they originally, you can stand as an individual within the AGOV-C, or any of us will dismiss it individually before we come and realize as a collective that all of us had the same position, because we have grown and matured into this revolution. Okay, let me not stir the argument out of the focus. I mean, the discussion out of focus. Now,
I won't let you. I won't let you.
Yeah. Now, after Ayuk Tabe was kicked and locked up, how did that revolution unfold? Because he was like a peaceful and non-confrontational. He had a peaceful and non-confrontational ideology in the liberation of Ambazonia.
Yeah.
I can call it the decapitation of his leadership. How did this revolution transform? How did they catapult this revolution to a different direction? What happened? What is the role? Because now, from our previous discussions, there were three key core arms in this revolution. The Akwanga.
There were three primary actors.
Yeah, three primary actors, yes. The Akwanga actor, Dr. Cho Ayaba, and Seseko Ayuk Tabe. Now,
please, for the sake of public politeness, call him Dr. Akwanga.
No, like I said, Dr. Akwanga, you didn't get me. I said, okay, let me put it this way. Yeah.
Please.
I take that back. No, I take that back. I didn't do it in a disrespectful manner. It was thoughts flowing through my mind. Dr. Akwanga, arm, Dr. Ayaba Cho, arm, and Seseko Ayuk Tabe. Those were the three core arms and movement with this revolution. Now, one arm has been.
Ambazonians love their titles.
Man, I know what you are saying, but at this point in time, titleship is something that I will take liberation for title. I don't care about that, because titleship has deceived us a lot.
Oh man,
so I'll take liberation for titleship.
Dr. Kwame will be calling my phone right now, and I said, "Why did you call Dr. Ayaba? Dr. Ayaba, you didn't call me."
Well, he might say so, but the focal point is our revolution, freeing our people. Okay, coming to that, one arm has been completely decapitated or taken out with his leadership. What transformed his liberation struggle from then to where we are now? What changed? Because with the level of, I can call it the currency he had, the how to call it, the acceptability currency that he had, that was decapitated. What propelled this revolution to keep on going? Because there was a period of uncertainty, limbo. There were now two key players in the field. How did the revolution transform from that stage and kept going? Can you shed light in the role from that moment, where what Dr. Akwanga how is he continued to perform, to function at that point, and the role that Dr. Ayaba Cho played in maintaining the momentum and keeping the fire burning.
Fortunately for Ambazonians, there was not a centralized leadership.
Yeah.
Ambazonians have wished for a centralized structure.
Yeah.
Okay. Ambazonians have wished, because of the nature of the Ambazonian people, they've always wanted a centralized structure. And in a liberation structure like ours, from the way our society is set up, from the way Cameroon has constructed and structured the occupation governance, if you have a deep study of Cameroon, every time you set up a centralized structure, it will be immediately infiltrated and will be imploded. So Ambazonians are lucky that the structures that govern the liberation were not centralized. Had that had been the case, bro, you want to pay attention for a second, please.
No, I'm taking notes. No, don't. I'm taking down notes. When you talk at points I make and I follow through. Yeah.
Your audience is engaged as well. This is
no, I'm engaged. Stuff. That's why so, I have follow-up questions that I need to put through. That's why I don't lose track.
Was not centralized, and that's why La République did not succeed. This is very critical. Even at this very moment, Ambazonians want the liberation to be centralized. The day the Ambazonian people, for whatever reason, the centralized leadership of the liberation, within 3 months, the liberation struggle will end. Within 90 days, the liberation struggle will end. In 2018, they created AMF. All these forces that came from Dadi and Kekugesem, all of these 7,000 forces on the ground. You have ADF, Sokadef, Tigers. Those were the foundational forces of Ambazonia liberation struggle. Cameroon didn't like that. So they created a centralized structure called the AMF as a collaborative platform to take all these forces on the ground. Why? Because by Tigers being managed by Comrade Nchia Martin, Dr. Akwanga taking care of Sokadev, and the governing council, Dr. Cho, commanding the ADF. It's very hard to infiltrate. You can infiltrate one, but you're not going to infiltrate all of them. So Cameroon was focused on infiltrating these forces. So they initiated the creation of AMF. Listen to this. The Cameroon government, through its intelligence operatives and certain handlers, used Nso Foncha and a few others to create the AMF as a collaborative platform to take all these soldiers that Cameroon is trying to identify their leadership. It's trying to identify the various chain of commands. They were very powerful generals across the territory that were doing an incredible job in keeping Cameroon busy. The block by block approach across the territory. Cameroon was stretched so thin to the breaking point. Cameroon didn't understand who each soldier, who the commanders are, who the generals are. They needed that information. So they came up use handlers, use insofuncher to influence the creation of the AMF. Why? Create a centralized structure, take the phone numbers of all these generals and commanders, and you put them in one forum. Now Cameroon has Cameroon intelligence, military intelligence. They have access to all of that information. So now they know who is in this subdivision, who is in this district, who is in that block, who is this. Now they have all of that information. So the creation of the AMF was not to get Ambazonian forces to fight together. It was to give the Cameroon military intelligence services an understanding of who these commanders are, what their informations are, what their names are, their locations, so that all the planning that is taking place among these commanders, that information is out to the Cameroon military. They are all in there. What happened to the ground?
Decimated the forces.
A few months later, they came up with county by county. It's no longer AMF. Now they have all the intelligence they wanted. They came up with county by county. And disintegrated the ground. Centralized structures in a liberation struggle like ours, with multiple movements, loose forces on the ground, it's a disaster.
Yeah. Just from what you are saying,
that's just an example. That's just an example. All right, that's just an example to make sure that we tie the knots of these discussions we're having.
You're right. You're right. You're right. And from what you are saying, I will speak from the perspective of the ADF. Sorry, the ADF. We've always wanted collaborative platforms, not centralized platforms, where forces operating under other structures, we can have that communication, share intelligence, but not coming under a centralized command. That's why they forced the likes of General Ayaba to come under a structure that was being coordinated and shadow managed by the Cameroon.
You were there. I was there.
Yeah.
I was. Look, you see, I can speak today with clarity, purpose, and authenticity because I was involved in all of those processes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a better understanding than most Ambazonians. I'm not speaking from some conceptual process or something told me an abstractive process. All right. I was deeply involved, even during the process to make the T-shirt to launch that AMF, that project called AMF.
Yep.
You know where the money came from? Nobody could fund it. Ivo had to fund the whole project.
Yeah.
The money came from ADF.
Yeah.
General Ivo put 3 million for T-shirts. And what happened? They went and printed T-shirts. On their way back, the cartels seized the T-shirts, killed those forces.
Yeah.
Centralized processes, centralized structures are very dangerous.
Just tapping into what you are saying and opening up Ambazonians' eyes, just solidifying your point. You know why we succeed now in a place like Bui effectively? We don't have a centralized structure in Bui, but we collaborate with other forces. And there's a clear path of communication. There is no hole, like a centralized spot where you can say that all the key elements within the fighting forces in Bui, they are all there where you can trap them as they trap the tigers of Manu, where people took their numbers out and gave it to like Cameroon to specifically kill them, or the AMF that you're talking about.
It wasn't the tigers. It wasn't the tigers. Please, let's make a public correction. I know your intentions are right. It was the creation of ASC by John Igewan, where he brought in the tigers and other forces. Where remember the AMF project?
Thank you.
The The AMF project at this point had failed. They've killed a lot of these forces, disintegrated the ground, and took the remaining forces that they want to bring under Seseko, because remember, they've decapitated the IG of Ayuk Tabe Julius. They have inserted a puppet called Samuel Seseko. They brought Eric Tato from the ground to help Eric Tato to shut up Seseko. Seseko couldn't speak. Seseko couldn't attract the Ambazonian people. So they needed someone. They brought in Eric Tato from the ground, gave him a visa, brought him to the United States before they brought in Seseko and introduced him to the Ambazonian people. That period between when Ayuk Tabe was picked up, there was a 4-month period in which they had an institution in which Vice President XXX, does Ambazonia who knows who Vice President XXX is? Vice President XXX was Joseph Weber. Weber was the vice president of Ayuk Tabe's IG. I'm revealing a lot of information to a lot of you. But I'm just saying, let me
coming to the factor.
Let me just make that point.
Yeah.
Let me just make that point. So, Weber was the vice president of Ayuk Tabe IG. It was never made public because the arrangement between Ayuk Tabe and Ayuk Tabe's IG and Joseph Weber for him to come in publicly and officially were not concretized. Remember, I think today it was in our previous show. Before you get yourself into something, you must understand what this is, where this is going. What is this? Where is this going? If I get myself involved, will it succeed? You can't answer those 3 questions. Don't fucking get yourself involved into anything. So, certain clarity were not provided to this man, all right? Were not provided to Weber. So why they had appointed him as Vice President XXX, there was certain clarity, certain arrangements were not completed. That's why when Ayuk Tabe was taken out, there was that vacancy. He refused. And he has all the reasons to refuse. Because there was no clarity to what this is. So you're not going to take a man and put him into something without clarity of what this is and where it's going. That's where Weber refused.
Okay.
Just saying, this is very helpful for Ambazonians. So now you have that AMF. They brought in, that failed. They took the remaining forces, they created the ASC, brought all those same commanders in there. They took all the numbers and put in there. What happened to those numbers? Again, centralized structures in a liberation struggle in our context are very dangerous. Second, centralized structure, the ASC created by John Iguan and Seseko Samuel. They brought in all these commanders on the ground. They put their numbers there. What happened to those numbers? Within 2 months, they were leaked. All the ID cards of these men and women, all their phone numbers, their locations, everything was leaked on that WhatsApp forum. So you had about 800 and something fighters, all their numbers, name, and everything, IDs, leaked on social media by John Iguan and Seseko Samuel. Cameroon now has access to all the information. What happened to all of those? Every one of them. Wiped out everybody. When I did joke.
Anyway, good thing to a certain extent. We're not really knee deep involved in. The AG of C, though the ADF, though we had a little bit of losses. They were not deeply involved in it because we kept on trying to maintain our own sane or structures in place, and we were trying to be selective in how to involve or get ourselves involved in that whole saga. Okay. You specifically called out and educated our people on the fact that centralized structures in a liberation struggle like ours is not beneficial, and you have showed the downside of the consequences of trying to centralize our revolution and how it has, costed us. Okay, now with that, I can call it big gap in leadership existing in the entire Ambazonian struggle.
That existed then.
I'm talking about that existed then.
Okay.
To coming now to, when after the 1st of October, where our people marched out without any defensive plan in place, we got an audio, a video, where the leader of the AGOC, Dr. Ayaba Cho, stepped up, and he was really lamenting and crying that our people have been slaughtered because of the peaceful, method of trying to free our land. And then he stepped in and said, this has to change course. Because there was a time in place where our people were divided as to whether self-defense is the driving force behind our liberation, or whether the peaceful method of the peaceful method applied by Seseko Ayuk Tabe was the best method. There was that type of, that discussions were still going on. And after the 1st of October, where our people were massacred and slaughtered across the territory, you saw Dr. Ayaba Cho stepped up and stated, this must come to an end. We need to change course. And then he picked up, throw more light from whence he picked up from there in our revolution. And in this particular segment of our discussion, I want us to go deeply into the man, Dr. Ayaba Cho, because I still have that conception that, our people, because if I can speak to my uncle who has double PhDs, and he still doesn't get it, to understand that there are hit pieces that exist. People are trying to throw out hit piece within the organization or within the revolution to continue to, undermine this revolution. Because when certain things come up, he asked me just for clarity to help him understand it. And I was like, if my uncle with this accolade can still not put together or understand the level of deceit that's out there and diagnose it, then we really still have a lot of work to do to continue to direct our people's mind to have an understanding of what's going on in this revolution. So in this segment, we are going to talk specifically about the man, Dr. Ayaba Cho. When you saw his old video, he made his video in his vehicle, crying and lamenting and saying that the slaughtering of our people must come to an end, and we must forcefully change course to lead our people out of this quagmire, out of this, everlasting hell. What can you say? Just talk to me more about his mindset. I know you've been a close friend to him.
You've laid a solid foundation, and you've elaborated what the discussion should be centered on quite well. Ambazonians have been very peaceful people. The nature of the Ambazonian people, they're people of peace. Look at their history. Look at their history. They don't know what violence is. They have no sense of violence. They have no inclinations to violence. Look at the Ambazonian, the various tribes. We've not had civil wars. We've not had intertribal wars. Yes, there could be communal disagreement, but Ambazonians are not inclined to violence. So the social development of the people dictates their orientation. So If you look at from the time they left the Eastern House, even before the Eastern House, they're not prone to violence. So leaders before this present generation, from Goji, they've all, because their ideology based on their model of the world, please, we should have some respect. Based on their model of the world, the way they perceive the world to be at that time. Remember, at that time, the United States was the singular global power and was preaching liberal doctrine of a world that is governed by international law.
Yeah.
So now you have all these lawyers who have been trained in that singular mindset of how the international systems operate.
Yeah.
Post World War II, the US and others, they created the United Nations. And they created all these international institutions under the US hegemony. Okay? To preach in globalization and multilateralism in terms of the rule of law. So all our legal experts, that's the doctrine they understand. That there is a process, there is a path to this advocacy. So they can right the wrongs of history through legal means. So don't blame them. Don't blame them. Those things, they probably would have worked if Cameroon is a reasonable state. But Cameroon is not a reasonable state. So that's why they preach the force of argument, that they can use legal persuasion to gain sympathy, to gain attraction, to gain the ears. Someone is going to sympathize with them. And based on that doctrine, that person called the African Union, or that institution called the African Union, that institution called the European Union, that institution called the General Assembly, that institution called the Security Council, will come running, right?
Yep.
Will come running because I have this legal document and I have a case that is rooted in injustice. So the law is on my side, history is on my side, right? So you should come running because they have a classical, naive concept of what underpins these institutions, which is strength. They didn't study that part of the world. They studied the superficial part that is sold to them. The United States of America has 750 military bases across the globe. Listen to this. The US has 750 military bases all over the world. Why? Why?
To project strength.
They have some of the best lawyers. They made the international laws. They own the international institutions. Why do they need 750 bases? So don't blame those of the past. Our people, their peaceful nature, and the kind of education they acquired then determines their outlook on life. So the peaceful nature was just a pattern. Dr. Cho and the rest have been studying that peaceful nature. And they were also studying the alternatives. And they were also studying what? The alternatives.
Yep.
The practicality of how resistance succeed and how resistance fail. And studied the occupier. Dr. Akwanga did his, I think, post-doctorate thesis in studying the conflict in Sudan. I think Dr. Ayaba did post-conflict justice system. He's an expert in post-conflict justice system. Right? So both these guys, these gentlemen, studied the alternative after having been part of the force of argument for so long. They started studying the alternatives, and then they compared the two and how the state of Cameroon acts and behave. So coming to said, the way Cameroon has treated our people, the 481 Ambazonians they killed on September 1, on the 1st of September 2017, must come to an end. The reason is the Cameroon government, as we stated in our previous conversation, the Cameroon government disrupted the plan of Dr. Cho and Dr. Akwanga. So September 1, 2017 should have been the day Ambazonia had taken over the territory. But they disrupted it. Daddy, what happened to Daddy was unintended. The leader went down there to commission these forces to get them ready for the takeover of the territory. The video was leaked. The military invaded Daddy, took Ambazonian by surprise. That's what happened. This war would have been over if those 7,000 forces had completed their training and they have had their materials. They would have been able to, within 2 hours, taking over all senior SDO's office, taking over all the DO's office, taking over police office, taking over military bases across the territory. It would have been over for La Republic. But let me just say, at that point, you take over. Now what? So things will not happen until people are ready. Ambazonia was not ready. Ambazonians were excited. They were not ready. You're not going to have a harvest. You can plant a corn. You're not going to have a harvest until the corn matures before you can have the corn, the crops. Okay. You can have a chicken.
Let me follow through the question.
You can have eggs, but you're not going to have chicks until it's ready.
Let me follow through.
Go ahead.
Let me follow through the question. When you say Ambazonia was not ready, when are you implying that? And when would Ambazonia have been ready? Just to give clarity on that question.
At that time, Ambazonia was not ready. We had limited resources. Okay. We had limited resources. Ambazonia was not ready because it was a premature deployment of these forces. The galvanization of resources that would have been shipped to the territory, those things were not ready. They didn't get to the territory. The forces are, you get a point. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is Ambazonia needed time. Look, bro, all I'm trying to say is Ambazonians needed time. Life is a journey. We can be so much in a rush to one independence, to one independence, to one independence, to one independence. People have to be ready. People have to develop skills. Those forces, after 7-8 years, look at how skillful they are today. Imagine you train them for 3 months and then you deploy them to the territory. I'm sorry, they will be able to take over the territory. But Ambazonia was not ready. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Now, the
Are you
struggle.
not? I know. Let me interject. No, let me interject. I'd like to interject
Go
on
ahead.
this.
That's fine.
So the issue of you, I want clarity. We are live and our people are listening to us.
By the way, a lot of Ambazonians are going to disagree with me. That's fine. That's fine.
No, let me put it this. Let me put context to this. Ambazonians were not really in the light, that in the sense that the images that came out exposed the plan.
Yes.
Not that we're not ready to be independent. From the point of operational perspective to overtake the land, those things came out a little bit early.
Too early.
And yeah, they picked those images. We were still prepping, so we were forced to prematurely release them at Daddy. Yeah. And then moving forward from there, what actually continued to happen was that we had to adapt and adjust, even though we're being strangulated resource-wise by the internal foes, the internal players implanted by that in Cameroon.
You see, we always don't, when you get to that point that there is something internal that was strangling you, you're going to lose focus. There was nothing internal that was.
No, excuse me. No, you miss the point. What we are trying to explain to our people. I say, even though the forces were released premature, we kept on adjusting and adapting. Yes. We had to. It's just like you let go of the cat and it has to survive, or you give birth to a premature baby and the baby has to survive. So we came out and we kept on adapting and adjusting and maintaining focus and being dynamic. We are more dynamic in our operations.
That was the best thing that happened for Ambazonia.
No, that's what I'm saying. But
that was the best thing that happened for Ambazonia.
Yeah, it's because
the premature deployment of these forces help the forces to learn life skills
in the field.
Help them to be able to learn what a liberation struggle is. They have to learn, as you've said, they have to quickly adapt. They have to quickly adjust. They have to learn to create materials. They have to learn to use their hands. They have to learn to use knives. They have to learn to use bow and arrows. They have to learn to use spears. It help them to become ingenuity, to develop a creativity, to develop a sense of survival that becomes so necessary. It helped them to start to pick up their grandparents' Dane guns. How do I fight with a Dane gun and still survive? That is the best thing that ever happened to the Ambazonian people. That is what has kept this liberation struggle going. Because what it did was to force Ambazonians to confront the devil they have always been afraid to confront.
Yeah.
Ambazonians now have to confront the bees. They have to confront the army. Ivo. What happened to Ivo? Became a daredevil. With a small pistol, with a knife. Ivo collected more than 200 rifles from Cameroon.
Just I remember Ivo came
with a knife.
I remember Ivo came in the very first time with this boy. When he left Nigeria and was coming back. Ivo came in, these 6 rounds. He came with, I think, 8 rounds. And Ivo had to trek from Nigeria on foot to the northern zone.
Yeah.
The people he started that journey with, some of them gave up and went back. He trekked on foot. That's how determined and committed Ambazonians have been in this revolution. He trekked on foot. He called me most of the time. He will call me and talk to me. Oh, I'm in this location. Oh, I'm here. Oh, I'm. Can you imagine the sacrifice that our people are pushing. I like the fact you keep on telling us we are just a voice. The work is on the ground. Can you mind the level of sacrifice that our people are putting on the ground?
Was able to use just that one pistol to collect more than 200 rifles from Cameroon. Ivo and 2 or 3 others will invade a police station at night and take everybody down, collect all their weapons. Ivo will surprise them from one spot to the next. Why? Because of necessity. Ivo had to equip these forces. As the commander, as the general, he has to lead by example. He has to go find the resources for these soldiers. He has to carry out these raids for these soldiers. That's how you build a nation. That's how you build leaders. People that takes nothing and they make it into something. They came up, they started with nothing. They have to build by using their brains. They have to become resourceful. They have to learn intelligence gathering. They have to learn how to fight an enemy trained by the international system. That is the advantage of what came out of that premature deployment. So it was a great thing for Ambazonia. All right, Ambazonians, we are used to taking a disadvantage and turning it into advantage, taking an obstacle and turning it into an opportunity. That's who we are. That's what the AGOFC is. Why? Why was Ivo able to do that and not other commanders? Why was Ivo able to do that and not other generals? Because Ivo had a leader called Dr. Cho Ayaba, who was looking at the gap on the ground.
Yep.
Seeing the gap. The gap he's seen the opportunity. So he can now translate not the problem, but the opportunity to the general. Dr. Cho can now look at the ground and be able to guide Ivo in Ivo's mentality and in his heart. Anchor in the opportunities and then guide Ivo how to be able to do it. What Cho did with Ivo was to build a general from nothing.
Yeah.
Take someone that has not been corrupted and build in nationalism, build in patriotism, build in loyalty. Listen to this. Build in loyalty to the mission, loyalty to the institution, loyalty to the purpose, loyalty to the outcome, and loyalty to the people.
Yeah.
That's what Dr. Cho did. Once Dr. Cho built Ivo, Dr. Cho as a leader doesn't have to be on the ground. Because being on the ground, Cameroon will put in everything they have in their disposal to take him out. So that's why we separated leadership. For the defense leadership to be on the ground, because there's a level of protection. You put political leadership on the ground, Cameroon will move heaven and earth. Cameroon will kill all 8 million Ambazonians to find out where that leader is. That's what Dr. Cho did in order to start to build now nationalist forces that are Ambazonians. And Ivo, with that inspiration built into him, that commitment, that loyalty, that trust, that dedication to the liberation, that sense of passion and a sense of urgency, Ivo had to build a force. Ivo had to learn to be a leader. Dr. Cho's role is to build the next generation of nationalists. The goal of a leader is to build other leaders. That's the job of a leader. The job of a leader is to build other leaders, train other leaders, mentor other leaders to be able to carry out the mission. It's not to micromanage people. Ivo was not micromanaged. Ivo now can lead 7,000 forces on the ground. Dr. Cho doesn't have to micromanage 7,000 forces on the ground. Ivo now can lead other commanders. Dr. Cho's goal is to mentor, guide, inspire, empower, educate, provide a sense of mission and clarity, a sense of direction, a sense of discipline, a sense of purpose, a sense of institutional building. That's what he did. That's why the ADF is still standing. Because you have all these values transferred throughout the top commanders and then transfer that to all the forces within the chain of command. And now you have an institution.
Thank you. I want to speak to something that,
I hope that we were able. I was able to help you to help answer that question. How we were able to start to fill that gap, right? How to able to take that gap instead of looking at it as a problem, we take it and turn it into an opportunity. We turn it into, right? We make it into an advantage to Ambazonia. How do you do that? That's why the ADF is the ADF.
You make a good point, because if the leader didn't put appropriate structures in place, the level of decapitation and cuts that the ADF has had, if you were just like a movement without that inspiration, I mean, if it was a fighting force without inspiration, they would have long evaporated. But you see the ADF fighters, even if he's alone anywhere, he has one belief: I can build an army and I can keep on fighting this enemy. That is a spirit that Dr. Ayaba Cho instilled and injected into the ADF fighters. When we talk about this, and there's something that I'm trying to put in more light to what you said, what you have put in, because you talk of making fighters to know why they fight. Throughout our leaders, messaging, he has consistently and is constantly saying that you don't fight for me. You fight for something that is dear to you. That's the distinction between.
They are not. Look, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what leadership is. Remember what leadership is. Dr. Cho did not build the ADF to be kissing his ass. Dr. Cho did not build the ADF to worship Dr. Cho.
Yep.
Or to worship any of the leaders of AGOFC. Dr.
For the mission.
Cho Ayaba created the ADF, built the ADF to fulfill the promise to deliver a free homeland to the Ambazonian people.
Yes.
A force, a liberation force that has no political leadership. Hamas. Ambazonians they don't learn. Go out there and study so that you're not being manipulated by the riffraffs and the miscreants making noise on WhatsApp, confusing all of you left and right. Hamas? Hamas is not just a fighting force.
Yeah. Yes,
Hamas is a political movement that is in charge of the governance in Gaza. Hezbollah It's not just
Fighting force.
a fighting force.
Yep.
Hezbollah, it's a political movement. Armed resistance, it's part of their strategy to fend off the occupation of Lebanon by Israel. If you don't have a force that is under a nationalist political leadership, you're creating armed men and women for political and financial transactions.
Yeah.
If you don't have forces under a direct political leadership with clarity of their purpose, you're creating armed men and women for financial opportunities, for corruption, for buy-in, and for disruption. We have many cases about this on the ground.
Yep.
What Dr. Cho did to the Ambazonian people is to give Ambazonia a sense of structure. You don't have forces under a direct political structure, then there is no accountability on their conduct.
Yeah.
Then there is no discipline. Who will the international community hold accountable? Look at the AROF. I'm giving a perfect example. There are 5 IG movements. Which of them is the AROF under? Who will the international community go hold accountable for the conduct of the AROF? Who? There's no one. Because Sako has never proclaimed himself as the commander-in-chief of AROF. It's not. All right? They are only using these forces for political relevance and for financial transactions. Because there is no one who is in charge of these forces publicly. They are all being under the control of people whose faces you don't even know. I'm just saying, I want Ambazonians to start to get something that's going on the ground. Why do you think the forces that are now surrendering to DDR, do you know who they were? Do you know who was controlling them? You know why they were in that specific block for these many years? Do you know? People are joking.
So there's something that before touching on DDR, there's something that I want us to talk
I know
about.
we were supposed to. Remember, we are here to talk about Dr. Cho, so let's not digress.
Yeah,
we'll build
because
foundation.
that's
We have very
that's why
we have very limited time. All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to bring is currently, not in the space of 6 years and counting this revolution.
Yes.
We have seen not even the. I mean, when this revolution took shape from 2017 till this current moment, we have seen a concerted effort in character assassination of Dr. Ayaba Cho. I would list some of those instances, and I'll ask you how you should go into the psyche of the enemy.
Yes.
And its proxies from within us, the modus operandi of doing that. Because as you rightfully said, and you have always told me, if you don't know why, the purpose of people doing certain things, if you can't get right deep into it to understand the why, you will know the wherefores. Now, I want you to we've seen from sometime 2018, 2019, where the president of AGOV's his character, they assassinated his character, his person, tried to undermine or tried to to create an illusion that he's not a doctor. He had to. I mean, people had to take the extra effort to really validate that. They attacked his person, every bit of thing that he has done. They went to as far as calling him the oil mafia boss.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Why do you think they are doing that?
I'm throwing at you. I'm throwing at you that I'm listing those things and I'm asking you from your own perspective. You are a good analyst. That's why I'm throwing it back at you. The way I will try to put it through to the best of my understanding to the Ambazonian people will not come as clear as much as you can do it. That's why I'm listing out those things for you to really let them.
I like to simplify things. Okay, I like to simplify things. A good teacher must communicate in the way that the information is simple for people to absorb.
Yeah.
La République does not want the Ambazonian people to have a compelling leader Ambazonians can trust and can be projected to the international community. So that's why 2016 decapitation of Consortium, 2017 decapitation of Ayuk Tabe's IG, and the only one who was left with substance and structure was Dr. Cho Ayaba. Why is it that of all the Ambazonian leaders out here, why is it that there is no rallying there's no concerted effort to throw stones at Chris Annan, to throw stones at Sako, or Yerima, or John Bakuro, or even Dr. Kwanga? Because they are not that consequential to the liberation struggle. Okay? Not that their contribution does not matter. They are not that consequential. They are not. They are making contribution to the liberation struggle, but they are not consequential actors. Dr. Cho Ayaba, because of his intelligence, education, and maybe about 30 years of experience in the liberation struggle, has a mastery of what it takes to fight Cameroon, has a mastery of the international system, how it operates, how it functions, and how do we fit our story, our situation, our endeavors into the context of the international system to gain the support of the international system. He's the only one with that mastery. If there is any other, please bring that person to the Ambazonian people. If there is any other out here, where is he? Where is he? Why haven't we seen him? Just hold on. So,
okay.
The blackmail, it's part of the strategy. If I cannot assassinate you, if I cannot kill you, if I cannot destroy you, then let me socially ostracize you. Let me make you irrelevant by reducing your value of perception. So if I recruit enough people, if I pay enough ghosts, okay? I paid enough ghosts. If I paid 1 or 2 persons and give them a career, and take care of their survival, to spend their time not to promote who they are and what their organization stands for.
Yep. Critical.
But to focus all their attention and their energy
100%.
on giving you public ridicule, blackmailing you, assassinating you, because it is, Cameroon understands that the intelligence of an average Ambazonian is very low. So an Ambazonian will rather be entertained, destructive entertainment, than for an Ambazonian to know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are probably speaking, they will probably have maybe 100 and something people watching. If I were here and talking about probably Capo Daniel and revealing, oh, Capo Daniel is a thief, Capo Daniel is a scam, they all will come and rally here. But now that we are giving education and inspiration and empowerment, because that's what Cameroon has conditioned Ambazonians to be attracted to garbage. Why? Remember Gigo? Garbage in, garbage out? The more I spew garbage and I put it in your head, you'll be thinking garbage, you'll be talking garbage. Even when the path and the truth is in front of you, you can't see it. It's called social conditioning. So they are conditioning the Ambazonian people not to trust in their future. They are conditioning the Ambazonian people not to believe in their future. They are conditioning the Ambazonian people not to believe in what will give them freedom. Why? Because they don't want you to have a compelling leadership. And without leadership, there's no freedom. So that you get distracted, you get distracted, you get demoralized, and then they push you into all sort of chaos. By the time you wake up one day, you are back in Vomeka and eating cassava leaves. You are back in Vomeka, dancing bikutsi and singing what is that? Their other dance? Asiko. You are dancing bikutsi and Asiko. And then you already talking. They have started teaching you Bulu language.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask yourself, what happened to the liberation struggle? And then they'll be telling you, forget about that one, Atin. Your life is over. So that's the reason why, as one Pabi tell me, if that tree not be get fruits, no person for the throw stones.
Yeah.
You know, for the stone. You know why they throw stone at Dr. Cho? Because he has everything. He has all the fruits, the attributes, the characters, all right, the qualities, the substance. That should he have the space, Ambazonians will be liberated in a very short period of time, and Cameroon will have no other alternative than to negotiate with the Ambazonian people and with the nationalists. That is a simple goal. Now, I'm going to stop here for a second. One of the drawbacks of the AGOC they have been so battered from all corners. Sometimes the clarity to come and sell who they are to the public is very difficult. I'm just saying.
Okay. It's true.
We're trying to do our best to tell the story of the Ambazonian people. Because at the end, what will matter is the stories that freed Ambazonia, stories that liberate Ambazonia. Okay. That's at the end, that's what matters. If any movie that you've watched, that you loved, is a movie of someone or some persons They went through all the trials and the tribulations, all the struggles and obstacles, all the challenges, and they eventually succeed. Those are the movies that are compelling. Those are the stories that we all remember. That's who Cho is.
Yeah.
That's who the ADF is. This man that I've gotten to know in the past 7 years, when I met him in 2018, in May 2018, as I said in my last outing,
Wow.
and I asked him that question. It's been 7 years. It's been 7 years of service. It's been 7 years of loyalty. It's been 7 years of dedication. What I saw in Dr. Cho is born out of research. He's a clean man. He's incorruptible. He doesn't lie. He doesn't like people to lie to him. There's one thing he said to me I'll never forget. He said, at the time, he said, P.S. The day I discover you've ever lied to me, it will be the end of our friendship and our professional relationship. The day I've discovered you've lied to me in any way, shape, and form, it will be the end of our friendship and our professional relationship. He's honest to the core. From 2017 to 2019, he never allowed the AGOC to even buy him a computer for him to go live.
Yeah.
Okay. From 2017 right up to 2019, he never allowed the AGOC to use public money they've collected from the public to buy him a laptop. When he came here in May 2017, the community raised about $8,000, if I'm not mistaken, within 2 hours of him mingling with the community, talking in a town hall. They raised about $8,000. He didn't even know how much money was raised. He had no clue. He doesn't want to even know how much money the AGOC has.
Yep. Because he believes in his structures that he has put in place.
Because he has created structures and created deputies. So anything that has to do with money, let the finance department, let the deputies take care of it. It's not his responsibility. His responsibility is to lead an organization. His responsibility is to lead the forces. He has created deputies and departments and heads of departments. So his goal is to govern the organization, as to make sure that it is viable, it is attractive, it is compelling, and is doing the work for the Ambazonian people.
Spokes, so, I just want, Spokes, I'm really sorry. I don't want to cut you short. Please just hold your point there.
We have about, I think the studio said we have 17 more minutes, so we have to
let me add one point to this. I remember when the president the last time he visited us in the US, I personally, I am aware of that. The Iron Lady within our organization, I think about 3 or 4 of them put together something for him to give him to go and maybe just, give something to the wife for her sacrifice. You know what? What the president said? No, the president said, he said, give it to Mezam.
Yeah.
She was shocked. She said, he told you came and said, PK, who don't even put this small thing, say, even give me president, who give madam even hold on for just for thank you for which way it allows CIC for you do. I hear you a president tell me, I say, no, it's a president, say, man, me the give for you for Allah. that's the type of, when you go deep to talk about this man, that's the type of person, that's the dedication. Even something that is supposed to go to his work, he says, give it to the forces on the ground.
This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what you're supposed to be doing. These are the stories you're supposed to be telling Ambazonia people and not wasting. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what all members of AGOVC are supposed to be doing. There are so many stories of this man, of these forces, of their sacrifices, of their courage. This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is what Ambazonia expect from you. This is what they expect from me. I'm just challenging all of us that we are falling into the trap of Cameroon to consistently be distracted. These are the stories you're supposed to be telling. You have stories of all your forces, the things they do. Isn't that what we're supposed to be telling? That's what Ambazonia wants you. That's what Ambazonia expects from all of us. I'm not criticizing the organization because I'm part of the organization. I'm just criticizing all of us that we are allowing ourselves to be so much distracted. We should respond, but not caught up in the drama. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, you make a good point. Before, as you rightfully said, I saw a hit piece that was put out by, one obvious piece. They were trying to challenge the president's financial position or dealings. I had look at how childish. No, you know why? Do you know why I want to bring this point out? It's because when you look at the hit piece, we know the hit piece that they put out, this particular one that came out that I personally took some time, that they was sent to me actually. Ambazonians understand. Those of us living in the diaspora.
How is this right now related to this same conversation? Because we keep falling into the same thing. Because
no, we're not falling into the same thing.
We are in a beautiful conversation.
No, yeah, these are just excerpts or extracts to put it. Let me say this because I want Amazon to understand something. Because I'm saying this because, as I said, there are people that you might think that they get it. But if you don't pick some of these one or two things and open up their mind and say, hey, look, they might say that the leader has this type of mansion or build for 600. We all take mortgage from a diaspora.
No.
The leader, brother, listen, I have to make this point very clear. Let me. I know you might say something, but before you counter me, let me say something. We all take these things abroad. I want to tell Amazonians because Amazonians might hear someone here ahead and ask me. So you people is it the amount of money that the house or the leader is? I said no. These are mortgages that we take and we pay like rent. That's the first thing. Secondly, going to one
tone of voice will never get your message through. I'm not kidding.
No, it's not a tone. I'm telling you that. Look,
when you take your time, let's say about Capo Daniel, you just take 2 minutes. 2 minutes of your time.
About him. No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about what came out. I'm not talking about him. It's not worth my time.
You just come out and you say, fellow Ambazonians, here is an information that has been published by the Cameroon government that they've extracted, coerced, gotten this information from the Norwegian intelligence services. This is private information that's supposed to only be in the hands of cripples. How is this information now in the public? First question. Number 2, every Ambazonian that is in the diaspora who has a job can have a house. So what's wrong with a man who has been in the diaspora for about 20 years, who has gone to school, gotten education, gotten good jobs, is a consultant to some of the world's top companies. He has a company that employs people. When was the last time you told the Ambazonian people that Dr. Cho has a company that employs people? I'm just saying. So sometimes
I know.
Again, my goal is to hold all of us.
No, it's good. I like it. Hold us accountable because that's one of the pillars of the AGOVC. Let hold each other accountable. I like to take the shots.
If we come out, we get such information and we come out not with anger, not with frustration. You come out as a leader and you articulate. You rubbished wherever that information comes from. You speak from a place of clarity. Here is this man who the FBI, the US FBI, cripples have information of the company he's been running for years that employs Norwegians. A company that employs Norwegians. Dr. Cho has a company that employs Norwegians. They know it. Dr. Cho's wife is a certified professional accountant. You combine the two income, they can buy whatever the fuck they want. All right? You combine their two income, they can buy whatever the fuck they want. Before the liberation, Cho has a house, has a wife, has a family. The thief that can pay rent in Hong Kong couldn't buy a shirt, never had a shirt to put on, never had a suit to put on. They can't brush their teeth. Go to 2014, go to my Facebook 2014, 2015, before this liberation started. Who was ASU? I wasn't made by the liberation. I built myself before all of this stuff. By 2017, I became the first Canadian to be an international published author. The book that I wrote in 2017, within 3 days, blew up and became an international bestseller. Number one. I wasn't made by this liberation struggle. Our goal is to add value. Right? I'm professionally known, recognized for what I do. So I've already built myself before this stuff. Go back and look at the people talking today. Who were they prior to this liberation struggle?
Yeah.
Go look at Anu. Who was he? What was he wearing? Before they were talking about three-piece suit. In my mid-20s and early and late 20s, I was already an established professional wearing three-piece suit and speaking in front of thousands of persons. I know this man. He would rather take money for even a cup of tea and give forces to eat than for him to drink that cup of tea. I blame the AGOFC for not being able to tell its own stories. That's why we left this room open and we have all this nonsense out here. But fortunately, we have a very fierce PS. When this garbage came out, immediately put out a public statement. We need to do more than a public statement. Right. Here is why the enemy is mad. Their only asset that is left, we put a ban on him.
Yeah.
That's why they're mad. Listen, Cameroon is mad because we've put a final nail publicly. Their recruited agent will never be part of anything Ambazonia. You see, that's why Cameroon had to quickly go get those information, and then put it out and put that type of a sheepish write-up, just for diversion, so that the information we've put out will be forgotten. It's done. They can make all the noise they want. It's done. Dr. Cho, before this liberation struggle, created a company on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where people in the diaspora, you want to buy a bag of rice, a bag of beans.
Abakwa mix. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? In the heart of the city.
Yeah.
He's an entrepreneur. So don't blame Ambazonians when you say that they don't have the right information. They don't have the right information because most of the time we don't give right information. Because we believe that just because we have an organization, people should just trust us. In the world of information, You must communicate 24/7.
True. True.
That's what Trump is doing.
True.
Trump is dominating global media to always telling the American people and the world what he's up to. He's negotiating with Iran right now. The US-Iran nuclear program deal. He's putting it in the public. During the Obama era, those diplomats will go there, they will come back, you won't even know. Before they leave, Trump is telling you. While they are there, Trump is telling you. When they are coming back, Trump is telling you. If things are working, Trump is telling you. If things are not working, Trump is telling you. He's consistently communicating. So we must adapt and be able to tell our own story 24/7. This is the era. You don't do it, the public will receive garbage.
Right.
So
I mean, this guy even had taxis or buses on the ground before this revolution was moving. He had the Abakwa mix business where you were describing. He had the company that he had in Norway. This guy has been a professor. He has even at one point in time lectured in universities. So what I see, as rightfully said, the only thing that they have is character. So that's their end game, but it's not gonna work. Well, we have clear, dedicated people like you who communicate better than me.
It
So
will work. Let me, bro, please, let me just say this. If you don't counter it, remember, the brain, it's receiving information 24/7. The brain of an average human being who is connected to this device called a smartphone receives about 4 billion pieces of information per second. You get that? Minute by minute, they are bombarded because that's what it is. So if you don't give them the right information, whatever garbage is out there, it's going to be more interesting than what you said last week. So if you come out and communicate last week and someone is spewing out information on a daily basis, what they spew out on a daily basis becomes the information that's in front of people, and the brain is not going to miss that.
Sure. Folks, look, you once said something to me that I also want to maybe throw it out here. You made a statement once to me that when we look at the revolution, that's why I say I always like the analysis.
They say we have 5 more minutes.
You are either for our independence or not. Who gives the information about the Ambazonia independence or Ambazonia revolution? If the person is either for the independence and act according to the concept of our independence, or you are not for our independence, and if you are not for our independence, whatever comes out of your space, your mouth, or whatever is counter the revolution. You told me this once, and it still sticks in my mind. You always tell me, look at who is putting out the message. Where does he stand? Is it for your independence, or is he not for your independence? Is it working with your people or working with the enemy? Once you can decipher that, you should be able to know what type of messaging he is spewing out. I mean, I know you told me that once because I was like, you just cut me short. That look, when things are coming out like this, you first of all peel back the layers of the onions and say, who is saying this? Where is it coming from? Then you can know who the type of messaging is putting out.
You're a leader. That information, number one, you're a leader. Your job is to do that. Then that information comes in, you filter it, you process it, you already know what it's. Secondly, your goal as a leader, you take step number 2. Once the information come in, don't assume the understanding you have is the understanding all Ambazonians have. Please, this is very important. Never assume because you understand something, everybody else understands that thing. Don't assume because you know something, because you have clarity, the general public will have clarity. No, it is the job of the leader to simplify, explain, educate. That's what Dr. Cho has always emphasized. That's why most of the time he's always out there explaining things, talking to Ambazonians. He's always giving them context. He's always breaking things down for them to understand. Our goal is to break information to bite-sized chunks for the public to be able to understand why this is happening and where it's coming from, who is propagating that information. We have to be doing it consistently, because an average human being is processing 4 billion pieces of information every second. You speak to them today, come back next week and think they will remember. People don't even remember what they had for lunch. You think they're going to remember your information?
You're right.
And you're not the only one communicating. So that's why we need to be able, at this point of the liberation struggle, where the AGOFC is the prominent primary influencer of the liberation struggle, we have to be able to be doing this diligently, all right? With compassion, with love, but also assertively and authoritatively when it's required. There are times you have to be forceful. There are times you have to be gentle. There are times you have to cajole. There are times you have to soothe. There are times you have to plaquer, as they call it. But there are times in which you have to be blunt. But each context will require a different style of how we show up. There are times in which we have to cry with the people. There are times in which we have to get angry. There are times in which we have to laugh. There's a professor out there. He gets upset. Why are you always smiling? Like, are you serious for real? He says, oh, when you're talking about La Republique, why are you making fun of them? I'm like, because I am a communication strategist. I know when to fucking poke fun of the occupier to deliver a certain message.
Just like they ask me, why are you always frowning when I'm talking? I say, well, because I'm so angry about what these people are doing to our people.
But don't frown all the time, though.
Yeah, the pain is deep, man. The pain is so deep. Yeah, a spokesperson. I know that we don't have much time from what you said. What I can say is that we have
run out of time. We have used 2 minutes over what they scheduled for us, so we should be rounding up.
So, fellow Ambazonians, we really hope that the messaging that we try to bring out about our expectations of this revolution, the intent of trying to create a certain narrative, is to dissuade us from focusing, making us to blink, where they always remind us not to blink. I believe that our spokesperson, one of the best analysts within the context of the Ambazonian revolution, has really broken down a lot of things. Though at one point in time, he was really at the high up. He didn't go right down for some of our people to grab some of this stuff, but he's done a super, I don't know how I can quote it, a good job in bringing certain information or analyzing some of the things that needed some analysis and needed some clarity in the revolution and where we stand. And I really am, I'm humbled and privileged to really always sit with him and talk, because he lectures me actually. There are things I say, we've been in revolution, but there are things I say, this is where you miss it. This is where I openly and publicly put it out. I like having this type of educative conversations and discussions with you. Let me just, I know we don't have much time, but I want to thank the audience and those people who followed through and those who are still going to follow through. We'll keep on having this type of interactive discussions with the spokesperson, and we'll make sure that our people continue to sieve through the garbage and get the right information to continue to maintain a sane mind in our in the quest for our liberation struggle, in the quest for our liberation. So let me say this to the spokesperson. Yeah, just give a word of encouragement and continue to, give a word of encouragement in the closing phase of this conversation, and be able to really, let our people keep on building hope that we are going to liberate our people.
We have dismantled anything that Cameroon calls its occupation governance in Ambazonia. And Ambazonians are not fighting. Cameroon is not fighting Ambazonia. Cameroon is fighting the recruited, paid CPDM elites that have benefited from the occupation. Ambazonians are fighting those that are protecting their benefits of the occupation. Mr. Bia is there in the Mvome car, relaxing and counting his minutes and days and regretting his life. We will prevail. It's very near. We have acquired the power needed. There's a few tweaks and a few things we need to do. The international community wants to talk. On what terms? Leaders have to ask very hard questions, and leaders have to make an assessment. That we should always be open to talk. Always, while we build capacity. Pay your liberation tax if you haven't done so. Let me tell a story quickly, 30 seconds. There is a doctor, an Ambazonian doctor. The family members have been telling him, pay your liberation tax, pay your liberation tax. He say, that was nothing. That was nothing. He's from Ambazonia. He's from the southern zone, the Atlantic states. That was nothing. He left the United States, went to the territory, and he met Ambazonian forces. They asked him his liberation tax. He pulled out his American passport to show how powerful he is as an American. He got an American passport. I said, Pa, that one of America. Who say a liberation tax day? You don't pay a liberation tax? That's when reality kicks in. There's an authority on the ground called Ambazonian forces. You fail to pay $100. You know how much you end up paying? He didn't only pay for last year and for this year. For all the contributions he has failed to make in the liberation struggle. On the spot, he paid 500,000 francs to Ambazonian forces before he was able to move. Now pay on a liberation tax. It's no joke. Dr. Cho did jail. Seseko did jail. Mancho did jail. Tasang did jail. Panfo did jail. Baby Mata killed. Baby Karo killed. Mami Happy. 70,000 others. You know what pay a liberation tax? Now the craze. The day where they will hold you. You go pay them. Even you go pay not beyond that liberation tax. You go pay the liberation tax and you even give them some gift. Pay a liberation tax. Now my only message that.
Thanks very much, the spokesperson, because you can't liberate without the resources. So when we stress on that, people should understand the blood that's been spilled on the ground is our moral responsibility to ensure that we stop it. It's the same creativity that the spokesperson talked about, that we could stop the IED, stop them using IEDs from going to our villages and burning them. It is a collective moral responsibility to every Ambazonian to protect. We have taken that phrase, responsibility to protect. It is our collective responsibility to protect our people. So it's not a matter of choice. It's a requirement. Let's all continue to pay our liberation tax for the liberation of Ambazonia, because there will be a moment of accountability. I want to thank you very much, the spokesperson, for for participating and taking your time off for us to continue to educate our people. I've learned a lot, and I always learn a lot from you. I know you have scolded us that we don't come out to really make sure that we push this evolution as it's supposed to be. I take that responsibility. Yeah, because the things I mean, we have a lot to do, and we have to keep on staying ahead of the game. You know, the revolution is not.
The person that I have to thank you. When we're having these discussions, okay, the people should see us in public having these discussions and these intense exchanges, because this is who we are. Right? You're someone that I respect a lot. I've learned a lot from you when I came into the organization. It's people like you that guided me, supported me, encouraged me, gave me all the assistance that I needed to be effective. So without having people like you beside me as comrades, as friends, people that I can count on, I wouldn't have been effective in what I do in assisting the leader fulfill the promise of the Ambazonian people. I want to thank you as a friend. I want to thank you as a brother. This is who we are. We build each other up. We lift each other up. We're Ambazonians. We're doing this for our people. We're doing this for our future. Please, I send my respect out to you. There is someone, and there's a few persons, everyone watching here should thank. Our TV technicians, the people in the studio. Some of them work nights, and they will still spend 3-4 hours after working 12 hours in their professional jobs. They will still spend 3-4 hours to try to host a TV program instead of sleeping.
Yeah.
On a blessed day.
Thanks very much. Thanks, folks. And it's on this note that we call it a day. And I also want to take upon the challenge that has been thrown on me to come out and also continue to do the work that we've always been doing here. And I just want to thank Ambazonians. Let's be hopeful. This was a one-way journey. We bought one-way flight ticket. And this plane has an airport. The airport is in Boya. We are at a point of, we have started a descent. Everybody should hold still. Fasten your seatbelts. For the landing, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a little bit bumpy, but we are going to make it in Boya. Stay hopeful. Believe in yourself. Believe in what we are fighting for. And I want to make one last statement. Normally, in every liberation struggle, there is no point. Most of the times when you are getting close to your liberation, there's a cast of doubt in the air. Our other friend was asking me, he said, are you really sure that he said, I told him that without any doubt, Ambazonia will be free. Ambazonia will be free without any doubt. And I am telling him with all full confidence that this generation is going to see through, and we're going to experience this freedom of Ambazonia. Believe in yourself. That's the only ingredients that we need in Ambazonia. Believing in our destiny, believing in what we fight for, believing in the fact that we are supposed to be free people, we are supposed to express ourselves freely, we are supposed to live in a free land, we are supposed to have everything that is in Ambazonia belongs to Ambazonians. Nobody will control our destiny. We have taken that steering and we're not giving it to anybody who will steer our destiny as Ambazonians. Stay focused, stay resilient, don't blink. Thank you, fellow Ambazonians. Let's stay the course and be optimistic. Have a blessed night.
I told you before, when the time comes, they will come to us. And I remind you, I know my national security advisor always reminds me I shouldn't utter certain words, but I say them so you don't forget. Because I know they are trying to take me down. But even if I'm not around, don't forget. You don't owe them child support. Don't forget the crimes they've committed against us. We, this generation, will defeat Cameroon in battle. They said they could fight. They said they had trained bees. They had United States provided tanks and warplanes. We want them to fight. We invite them to fight. We invite them to fight. Where them they? Where them they? Watana wata. Ambazonians, don't be fooled. They fooled us before, not this generation. This is the never again generation that has decided to write the last chapter of its own history, to pen down the story of General Ivo, the bravery of our patriots who fought in trenches with den guns. The stakes are high. Negotiations is not to give you freedom. It's to maintain the status quo. To maintain stability for international exploitation and conspiracy against our own humanity. They aren't coming to talk for the liberation of our detainees, our prisoners of war. They come like Trojan horses with bayonets to murder our patriots volunteers. My fellow people, the kind of country we want to leave to the next generation is one where people find peace and happiness and hope. Where people can laugh even in poverty. They can transform their own society to reflect the kind of society they want to build. Ambazonia will be offered to you tomorrow.
Shake, shake, no day, our voice will resound. Ambazonia's people will never back down. The chains are broken, the pain is gone. Freedom is ours, and a new day has dawned. Shake, shake, no day, no day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Amazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. From the rivers to the peaks, our strength will grow. The dreams of our forebears in us brightly glow. Our heroes, heroines, their fire still burns. We honor their fight with the justice we've earned. Shake, shake, and I'll win. No day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Amazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. We are building today for the children to come. No more tears, no more sorrow for anyone. Our flag will rise high, its colors displaying. Ambazonia's bright future starts today. Shake, shake, over. No day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Ambazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. We'll shake off the fear and cast out the doubt. Our spirits will rise, there's no turning out. Freedom is our anthem, justice our creed. Shake, shake, no day. With love we will lead. Shake, shake, but that no day, no day. Rise to the day, the day, the day. Shake, shake, no day. Amazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong. Shake, shake, no day, the future is bright. Ambazonia will shine like a beacon of light. With every heartbeat, our message will be sent. Shake, shake, no day, until the very end. The cruise boys sing. Under the moon, where they vex, your whispers they jam. Dreams scatter like ashes for night where they cold. Hope break scatter like branch for storm. Now bad people hand innocent they suffer. Oh mama, Ambazonia, your heart they pay. Tears they fall like a river, like the sky they cry again. IDPs and refugees they walk out. Widows they hold space where they empty, them cry go they echo. For the shock where they hollow. Dr. Cho, Seseko and others, them train them but them no feedback. Them voice not like thunder, where they under dark clouds. World where the town face go far, no care. They cold, you leave your children, they suffer. Them stories they untold. Oh mama, Ambazonia, your heart they pain. Tears they fall like a river, like the sky they cry again. IDPs and refugees they walk out. Widows they hold space where they empty, them cry go they echo. For they talk where they all low. Inside the shadows, small fire they grow. Freedom they call, where hopelessness been they show. For every heart, resistance they burn. Ambazonia go stand gidigba, you no go fear night. Oh mama, Ambazonia, your heart they pain. Tears they fall like a river, like the sky they cry again. IDPs and refugees they walk out. Widows they hold space where they empty, them cry go they echo. For this hug go they hollow. Mama Ambazonia, your scars they talk story of courage where no they shame. Even when wind they blow scatter, for morning light we go them. Your children go they sing of freedom we go fly high like wings for sky. Ooh yeah, ooh yeah. The Ayaba, no vex better go follow. Ambazonia now oh na. Son, una conspiracy we go win. Our brave boys do the work for the ground. Wanna flag there.